Assalamualaikum and hello. Let's continue with the next nomenclature of alkene, where we are going to choose example 4 as our reference, where we are going to learn how to give the name for cis-trans isomer. So before you give and write the name for this structure, I'm going to introduce to you 3 rules that you have to understand for cis-trans isomer. If you still remember about isomerism from chapter 1, you've just learned about structural isomer, where there are 3 of them. However, in this chapter, chapter 3, alkenes, you are going to learn about stereoisomerism, which is only one of them, cis-trans isomer. So now let's continue with the 3 rules for cis-trans isomer. The first one, you have to make sure in the structure you got restricted rotation around C double bond C bond in a compound or CC bond in a cyclic compound. But for your syllabus, we are just going to focus about C double bond C because we talk about alkenes. Next one, there will be 2 different groups attached to the same restricted carbon. So make sure you choose 2 different groups that attach to carbon-carbon double bond. And next one, it is compulsory for that structure to be in horizontal V shape. So what does it mean by horizontal V shape? It means that you have to show it in this structure. Horizontal V shape is just like letter V. So now for cis-trans, cis means same side or adjacent, bersebelahan. Trans means that the other side or opposite, bertentangan. So when you choose your structure, make sure your structure can be in this form, barulah you boleh give the name cis ataupun trans. Sekiranya dia dalam bentuk just like the previous one, dalam bentuk macam ni, you cannot put the name cis ataupun trans in front of it because the structure is not in the horizontal V shape. Next one, when you have the carbon-carbon double bond, for example, this is carbon A, this is carbon B, you are going to make sure there will be 2 different groups attached to the same restricted carbon. For example, I got X here and X here. And here I got Y, here I got Y. So you can see that, for example, X and X, and the position is opposite towards another. So this will be the form for trans. Now, let's continue with the example. So as you see from here, all examples already in the horizontal V shape. Maknanya V tu dia kangkang. So maknanya kita boleh bagi name cis ataupun trans di hadapan structure ini punya nama. So how I want to give the name for A, if you take a look, we use the same general guidelines where you have to determine the parent chain first. For example, I got here 1, 2, and then I go here 3, and then I go up there 4 and 5. So I got 5 carbon atoms, and I'm going to give the numbering from the left because the double bond is closer to the left. The concept is still the same. And what can you see here? 2 different groups attached to one another. So as you see, my rules, I said that this one will be X, this one will be Y. Must be different. So if you split this bond between 2 of them, you can see that untuk carbon number 2, you got CH3 and H, different group. And untuk carbon number 3, you got H and CH2, CH3. So, also different. Make sure rule yang awak ikut ni mesti ada dalam structure tersebut. And next, I'm going to give the name, and the group that is the same is hydrogen. And as you see from here, hydrogen is same side or adjacent to one another, bersebelahan. So, kita boleh tahu ini adalah cis. And then, you see that the position of double bond is at carbon number 2 and the chain is 5 of them. So this will be pentene. So the full name is cis-2-pentene. pentene. So this is the full name for this one. And if you take a look carefully, this structure, for the next one, B, I'm going to determine the carbon chain from here. And then I got 3 and I got 5. And the numbering also start from the left. So I'm going to start from here because the lowest possible number for the carbon that has double bond. So when you see from here, the parent name also the same, 2-pentene. However, the same atom in this case is hydrogen. Both of them are in opposite position. So maknanya dia adalah trans. So how I want to give the name for this one, I'm going to write it down as trans-2-pentene. As simple as that. Next one, we go to C. So C, can we give the name this one as cis and trans? If I take a look carefully, I got the double bond and then I got 2 carbon atoms. So 2 carbon atoms, it means that this structure is ethene. And then what's next? I choose whichever numbering that I want. So I put here 1, I put here 2. And what's next? If you split between these 2 carbons, you can see that for carbon number 1, you got different groups or atom. You got Cl and hydrogen. So yes, maknanya dia mematuhi rule number 2 here. And then what's next? Carbon number 2, I got hydrogen and chlorine. So chlorine here with hydrogen here also different. So yes, obey rule number 2. And then the structure is in V shape. I'm going to give the name for my substituents, which are 2 chlorine atoms here. Here is chloro and here is chloro. So if you want to give the name, this is the correct spelling for chloro. And now I'm going to put them in one whole IUPAC name. So you can see that these chloro atoms or these hydrogen atoms, they are in opposite position. Chloro with chloro, opposite. Hydrogen with hydrogen, opposite. So this will be the form of trans. So I'm going to put trans in the middle. And after that, I'm going to put my position of 2 substituents where my chloro is at position carbon number 1 and number 2. So the naming will be 1,2-dichloro. And what's next? This is ethene. So ethene, you don't have to give the numbering for the double bond because it will always be between carbon number 1 and number 2. So I just put straight away ethene. So this is the full name for C. And next, you can see that for D, it is just the same structure, ethene, but the position of chlorine atoms right now, both of them are on the same side. So what can we conclude here? That the name will be cis-1,2-dichloroethene. So it's very simple. That's how you give the name for cis and trans. I hope you can check first whether your structure, kalau lihat ada alkene dalam bentuk yang macam horizontal V shape, make sure you put cis-trans, tapi you have to be careful. Mesti at the restricted carbon got 2 different groups. Kalau di sini adalah X, for example, here is X, you cannot give them as cis ataupun trans because carbon yang ada double bond, carbon A mempunyai 2 group yang sama. So no, you cannot do that. So that's all for this video. I hope you are clear and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.